I'm Silver. It is Monday, January 6th. I just want to say a quick hello to any new viewers and an awesome welcome back must go to all returning viewers. If you tuned in last time and decided to come back, I really do appreciate it. You can find me on Ravelry at Silverluna2112, at Silver's Treats on Instagram, and at Silver's Knitting on Twitter. Anyway, how have you all been? I do have a lot to talk to you about, so I should probably just get started, right? Just grab your drink of choice, your knitting and crafting, and away we go. Today I'm actually drinking a nice cup of coffee. I'm drinking a pumpkin spice coffee. I've had this for so long. I love it. Oh, anyway, I'm going to take a quick sip and we'll get started. However, before I do want to apologize for the last time. I know I dropped a few swear words. I did try to put up a warning ahead of time. I know that's not everyone's bag and you might be listening with little kids. I will try to warn you every time I do. I have decided that leaving the swears in is more authentic. Usually I just edit it out and once I finish recording. I'm gonna try to tone it down a little bit. But just so you know, it'll happen. I'm human, you know. I miss things. So sorry. But yeah, if that offends you, I'm so sorry. Anyway, in this episode, I do have FOs, my works in progress, Silver's Unraveling Fast, Back to the Future, X's and O's, Radio GaGa, Silver's Book Pile, Silver in the Case of the Screen Time, The More You Know, My Favorite Things, and The End of the Road. Okay, you guys, I have been very busy since the last time we talked. Obviously, it's been 2 months. I do apologize for skipping last month. I realized that I had a lot more work on my plate than I thought of when it came to the end of the Great Podcaster Craft Together and getting 2020 set up. Spoiler alert, and I will talk about that later. Sorry if I'm talking fast. I am trying to calm down. I've had what amounts to 4 cups of coffee, including the one I'm drinking now, mostly because I've been up since 7:30 trying to get everything recorded for said along. But that's neither here nor there. Let's move on to my finished works. I finished a lot, you guys. Let's start off with one of the most recent. This is what I called Herbology January 2020. This is obviously a new one. I've actually haven't entered it in the Harry Potter House Cup yet. That's how new it is. I literally finished it yesterday. The pattern on this one was the One Up Mushroom Dishcloth by Nayet, I think is how you pronounce that. I don't actually know. I am really bad at pronunciations. If you've been here before, you know that. Anyway, I used some Red Heart Super Saver solids in the medium time colorway, which is a dark green. I don't think it's actually medium time, but that's the closest one I can find. All of my Red Heart scraps are all in one bucket right now in my stash without labels. So there it is. Anyway, with this washcloth, I did use a US 6, which is a 4.0 millimeter on 24-inch marble circs. And this was actually housed briefly, mind you, in my classic TARDIS bag by Addicted to Sock Knitting. The next 2 washcloths that I did make are also in that same bag as well. So that's a spoiler for the next one, which I called simply Potions, January 2020. Again, this is also a Harry Potter House Cup class that I'm entering. I used the Grandma's Dishcloth by PJ Allen. Again, I used the Red Heart Comfort Sport in the Amethyst colorway. Again, on size US 6, which is a 4.0 24-inch marble circs. The next washcloth that I made that was also in the same bag that I mentioned before is what I called Ancient Runes 2020. This dishcloth that I did use was called the Stargate Earth Dishcloth by Megan Murray. If you ever have seen Stargate SG-1, the symbol for Earth is essentially what this washcloth is, if you were wondering. Again, I also used Red Heart Comfort Sport in the Amethyst colorway, and I also used the size US 6, which is a 4.0 millimeter 24-inch marble circs. Okay. The next thing that I finished was a little bit more epic than a few washcloths, I promise. I've been busy. This was actually a Christmas present for MTI. This was over 3,000 59.3 yards. It is what I called my Yowza blanket. There was no pattern for it. I was just doing a granny square in it, in the square until I ran out of yarn. I was using miscellaneous Miss Bowsy Yowza yarn, all the scraps that I've had from my past projects. I decided I wanted to do a reverse rainbow, starting with the purple in the middle, doing a solid color, then doing a little bit of a variegated color, and so on and so forth until I got to the red colorway on the outside. And then I did a black border. I do have a full list of what I used in my project page directly. If you're wondering, I did use a size 5.5 millimeter eye hook. Let me tell you, when this thing was finished, MTI had no idea I was working on it. I don't know how I was working on it in front of him, but anyway, so I packaged it up that day, wrapped it up for him. It was great. He's used it pretty much every night because I'm going to tell you right now, he is a blanket stealer. So I decided to give him his own blanket so that I didn't have to worry about losing the blankets in the middle of the night, because it's cold in the winter. We don't keep the heat any higher than 70 degrees at all during the winter time, which sounds high, but really isn't. I would prefer a lot warmer in the house. So anyway, that's a whole other story, right? The next thing I finished since the last time we talked was what I called Mamma Mia. This pattern was the Toe Up Stacks with a Difference by Wendy D. Johnson. I used Knit Picks Hawthorne Fingering Kettle Dye in the Vancouver colorway and Dreamy Color Smushy in the Torchwood colorway. This was for the heel and the cuffs of both. I ended up using a size US 1, which is a 2.25 millimeter on 9-inch circulars, and 2 16-inch circulars for the heel and the cuff as well, because I need a little bit more wiggle room. If you don't know, I tend to purl, and when I purl, I use a lot more torque on my hand for some reason. I don't know. It's weird to describe if you haven't seen me knit. Sorry. The next thing that I did finish was what I called Onto Pinky. And this was the Toe Up Stacks with a Difference again by Wendy D. Johnson. And the last two were both for surprise recipients for the holidays. It's the easiest way I know to make socks for everyone, so that I know how long the foot needs to be before going up the cuff. I ended up using Cascade 220 Fingering in the Azalea Pink colorway. This was a color that, since the holidays are over, so that my aunt had picked out for herself. So this is a hostess gift for her too. She didn't think that I was actually going to have them done by the end of the year, and I proved her wrong. Anyway, that's a whole other story I'll talk about possibly later. Anyway, I used a size US 1, which is a 2.25 millimeter, also on 9-inch circulars, and 2 16-inch circulars for the cuffs and heels as well. The next thing that I finished since the last time we talked was what I called Dr. Quiddy. I think I might have had this on the needles the last time we talked. I couldn't remember, honestly. Whatever. The pattern I used on this one was a Sockhead Sledge Hack by Kelly McClure. I used Pandia's Jewels dyed yarn in a snug base. The colorway is called But I Think I Came Up More Magician, which is a Doctor Who reference, hence the title of the project. I ended up using a size US 3, which is a 3.25 Haya Sharps. There are 16-inch circulars I've used for the entire thing up until the very last couple rows of the crown, because as you do, to cinch it up. Let's see. The next thing I did finish the last time we talked was my November 2019 Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. I'm using it. And I also used the Toe Up Socks with a Difference pattern by Wendy D. Johnson. These were for myself, but I had a reason I'll explain in a moment. I ended up using Desert Vista Dyeworks, her Viso base, in the Troll Dolls colorway, because it was, I needed some bright colors. And the Troll Dolls colorway is very bright. Anyway, I used the size US 1, which is a 2.25 millimeter, and also my 2 16-inch circulars for the heels and cuffs as well. Alright, the next project. The reason why I was using Toe Up Socks with a Difference for both my holiday recipients and myself for both the November and October Desert Vista socks was what I called, this as a whole project that I put up on Ravelry, was called Rhythmancy Owl Option 2. It included projects on my Ravelry page, also included Bromance Are Us, Pinky Sis, Mamma Mia, Papa Don't Preach, Aunt Pinky, sorry. Then September, October, and November Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. What the premise of the owl was for the house cup was to do as many of a certain thing, like the same pattern and whatever, as you possibly can. I ended up going with 9 pairs of socks, all the same pattern. By the end of those 9 socks, I was ready for another pattern. So hardcore. Anyway, that's why my December 2019 Desert Vista socks were actually the Vanilla is the New Black colorway by Anika Fletcher. For that month, I did use Desert Vista Dyeworks on her Viso base in the You're Mean one, Mr. Grinch. Sorry, it happens to be my favorite holiday movie. Anyway, I used to use size US 1, which is a 2.25 millimeter on 9-inch circulars until the very toe. For the increase, the toe decreases, I ended up going to a 2 16-inch circulars. And this to fit the theme was in my Grinch bag by the Knitted Broomstick. I absolutely love this bag. I couldn't wait to use it, you guys. Alright, and the last thing that I remember finishing since the last time we talked was what I called Midnome Escrali. This is the Sockhead/hat by Kelly McClure. I ended up using No Maker's House Gnome in the Crowley colorway. I used the size US 3, which is a 3.25 millimeter Haya Sharps on a 16-inch circular cable. And this was actually housed directly in my Hamilton bag, also by the Knitted Broomstick. Ugh, I love this color of hat, guys. I definitely went on a binge when it came to the Sockhead/hats this past fall. I don't know why. I needed something different to do for myself. So yay, there it is. Okay, let me take a quick drink and then I will move on to my works in progress. So future silver here, I remembered as I was talking about my whips, later on you'll notice that I never actually said I finished my Christmas Eve cast on socks for this year. The pattern I used on this one was the Vanilla is the New Black pattern by Anika Fletcher. I did use the Mustache Yarn and Fiber on their sport sock in the Dark Side EPP colorway on a US 1, which is a 2.25 millimeter on 9-inch circulars. And this was actually housed in my Holiday Cats bag by Molly Klein Designs. And now that I brought that up, back to your regular scheduled podcast. You know, I'm just going to finish the coffee because it's late enough in the afternoon, like 2 p.m., that I should be done drinking coffee for the day. Because I'm being selfish. Anyway, it's a good thing I had to pause to drink the rest of the coffee. Because I realized I had worked on a project this time around that I didn't put in my notes. So, yay. Anyway, that project that I was telling you about just now was what I called the Huffle Pride sweater that I'm working on. This is the Hogwarts History pattern by Megan Regan. I am using 2 different colorways from Sweet Georgia Yarns Tough Love Sock. One in the slate colorway and the other one is lemon curd. This is a colorwork sweater. It's meant to have different designs on it and you can pick which ones you would like. The pattern is very intuitive. I absolutely love it. On this sweater, I am using a size US 3, which is a 3.25 millimeter, and a US 6, which is a 4.0. They're both carbon needles that I have. And oh my gosh, I'm having so much fun with this sweater, you guys. I'm just trying to take it slow because it is a fingering weight sweater. And I want it for detention for, March. Anyway, the next thing that I have been working on is a new project. I am currently to the heel of the first sock for my January 2020 Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. I got to that point in a day and a half, I might add. Anyway, the pattern I'm using on it is the Vanilla's the New Black pattern by Anika Fletcher. I am using Desert Vista Dyeworks in the 13th Doctor colorway on the Viso base. I'm using a size US 1, which is a 2.25 millimeter on 9-inch circulars for the whole sock. This is actually being housed in my stained glass Beauty and the Beast bag by Molly Klein Designs. Absolutely love this bag, guys. Let's see, the next thing that I did put a little bit of love in since the last time we talked was what I called my Scrappy Happy blanket. This is actually a relatively new cast on for me, at least with the name. This is not, I'm not using a pattern on this one. I'm just doing granny square all the way through on plenty of different scraps of fingering weight yarn. A lot of these are from the Leading Mid Fiber Arts, we call it Mini Club from 2018. I love these colorways, you guys. I wanted to make granny squares out of them, so I ended up taking a G hook, which is a 4.25 millimeter hook, and I'm going to make those squares until I run out of yarn on each colorway, and then I will be putting them together with colorway I have yet to pick. This is actually being housed in my Firefly bag by Bags by Awesome Granny. This was actually a recast on from something else that I will discuss in a bit. Let's see, the next thing that did get a little bit of love is what I call the Gingy's Spa Day. The pattern on this one was the Hot Chocolate with Pink Marshmallow Socks by CC Almond. And I am using Artistic Yarn by Abby in the Gingerbread Stripe colorway. And I am using a size US 1.5, which is a 2.5 millimeter on two 16-inch Addy circs, just so that I have room. This is very cabalicious. I absolutely love it. I cast on and did the entire first sock for Christmas last year. I think I finished before the new year, and it's been sitting on the needle, or off the needles, I guess, for an entire year. I ended up picking these back up right after I finished my Christmas Eve cast on for this year, which is also a new pattern. The next thing that you haven't seen since the last time we talked is a project I am calling I Can Hear the Bells. I am making this for a couple of recipients. They don't listen to the show, so I can tell you it's for my sister and her fiance. What they wanted was two different colors, red and black. I mean, yellow and black. So what I'm doing is I'm actually making 5 round granny squares and putting them all together. Using Karen 1 pound in the yellow colorway, the black colorway, and the off-white colorway. The off-white is for connecting and for the outside. Currently, I have 35 yellow and 35 black squares, and 6 of the rows are all connected and ready to go. And I have connected the bottom, or one portion of the 7th row. What I'm doing is I'm actually trying to connect as I go, so I don't have to worry about having too much to go at the very end once I'm done with the squares. Basically, I have this, I'm making this, on a 5.5 millimeter, which is an eye hook. But I have gathered all of it into one box that's sitting on the floor, literally to the right of me. It does include all of the Ziploc bags that I've created with physical, like finished squares, the ones that I've finished and haven't attached. The Ziploc bag of squares that I've yet to weave in ends on, that also goes in there as well. And I do have the large skeins of yarn that I still have yet to start, or that I'm currently working on, as well as the whole connected blanket as well. I am putting progress keepers on the end of each row, the way that it is. I don't know if you can see in the picture. I'm going to put up a couple. One of the close-up with all of the different progress keepers going up the right-hand side of the blanket, so that I know, hey, this is the end of the row, so I can just swing back with the yarn later on once I've had them all connected. The method that I'm using is the join as you go method. That's how you do it. If you would like, I'll put a link down below to my Ravelry page, which has a lot of what I'm talking about, and probably a better explanation of how to do the join as you go as well, including a video that I need to remind myself of. But speaking of granny square blankets, the next blanket that has gotten a lot of love as well, and it is new since the last time we talked together, was what I called All Squared Up. I have finished all the squares on a blanket for myself. They do have 36.5 yards per. They are 6 round granny squares rows. Obviously, it's going to take me a bit to finish this blanket as I still need to attach each square to the blanket. I have a couple rows together, but mostly I'm just going to show you what the layout that I have planned is. It's so large for myself that I needed to go ahead and lay them out on the floor. Yeah, and you'll see. Sorry, the floor is kind of messy, but you'll see it. It's cool. As of right now, though, I did end up putting all of sorry, I put all the squares and everything in a separate box, also to the right of me as well. Yeah, I'm not going to get back to this probably for a couple months as I have a few other things I need to finish first, mainly the blanket for my sibling. Anyway, for this one, I have been using Karen Simply Soft Stripes in the grape purple and rosewood colorways as kind of the main colors, and then I used Burnout Baby Sport in the baby ombre colorway, Lion Print brand Pound of Your Love Creamsicle and Bluebell, and then Red Heart Comfort Sport in the Amethyst colorway. So you know all of those are pretty much scraps that I wanted to put into the blanket at some point. They're all acrylic yarn, so that way I don't need to worry about like ruining the blanket and things like that. You know, it's hard wearing. I have been using a 5.5 millimeter or eye hook for this one as well. It is one of these Smart Stick hooks that I got recently from Jimmy Bean's Wool, if you're wondering. A lot of the project itself, like I said, is in the box. There are a few things. Basically, when I was going and working on the squares at different holiday events, I was using my holiday music bag from Stitching the High Notes. Ugh, I absolutely love that bag, and I cannot wait till next year to start using it again. Ugh. The next thing that I did put a little bit of love on is what I called the Scraptastic DVD blanket that I have. I am using the 10 stitch blanket by Frankie Brown. I'm using miscellaneous Desert Vista dye work scraps from the past socks. I'm going to be working on this probably until Stash Dash next year because I am doing my third year now. I'm going to have a full list of all the colorways I'm using on a project page on my Ravelry. Again, I'm Silverluna 2112. They're on Ravelry. I am using a size US 5, which is a 3.5 millimeter carbon straights, and the deep bands as well. The reason for this being is that there are my straight needles I use to pick up the side of the blanket, mostly because there's a lot of stitches, and I really stink at picking up stitches, so I do it kind of all at once when I have the brain space. And then the deep ends are what I use to do the corners. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put in a little video right here as to the how I do that. I didn't want to put it on YouTube because it's kind of dark and whatever, so you can skip it. I will put the timestamp down below here, and I will see you on the flip side. Before you even do the pickup, just make sure that you have everything lined up and ready to go, and you'll be picking up along this edge here. This is actually where we've started the row of our 10 stitch. I'm using 21, so I keep getting the numbers confused, sorry. But basically you just pick up along here and here. Okay, so here is the fun part, the pickup. I essentially start at this corner. Just pick up all the stitches all at once. Put it on a long carbons needle and then just knit from it. I will show you what I mean in just a moment. Now here's the corner before I go ahead and do the pickup. It's very, very odd to try to do this corner with the way I have the setup going. Yeah. You have to find every freaking stitch along the edge. And hi, Mario. Everyone say hi to our cute cat. This is why I usually lay it out on the table. And I do it all at once, as I really stink at picking up stitches.
But I found a nice, easy way to do it by picking up what I've already worked and just slipping my long needle all the way through each of these loops.
About halfway through the pickup, this is kind of what it looks like bunched on one needle for now. But basically all you're doing is you're picking up one along every garter ridge, all the way down to the end. I will see you when I get to the next corner.
It's kind of getting closer and closer to the edge. I'll show you what I do once I get to the edge. I am literally picking up the loops in this case. Yeah, I slipped a stitch earlier that I wasn't supposed to. Haha. You can tell when you're picking up the edge if you've done your previous corner properly. Basically, this is as far as you can get. And then what you want to do, I'm going to turn the blanket, is if you're going to be knitting this next row just across onto this needle and picking up 2, maybe 3 stitches in there, depending on how you're feeling. I'm feeling a little bit saucy, so I might do 3. We'll see. I'm just going to pick up the last stitches we need to pick up. 1, 2, and the third one I'm just going to pick up from down here because it's not an exact science, you guys. And then I will go ahead and slip the stitches I've already have over here onto the bigger needle, or the longer needle rather. I will speed this up as quickly as I possibly can to transfer the needles. I'm not as quick as I should be. I can remember to speed that up. Okay, now that we're back on this longer needle, we will go ahead back in the pattern we were doing before. It's 1, 2, 4. I'll just pick up this stitch here and then knit these 2 together and then knit. At the end of the row is the 21st stitch I need to knit. I'll pick this stitch and the first one that you picked up and just knit them all together. And then I'm going to return those. Alright, can you see why it's hard for me to kind of explain how I do it? I tried to talk you through it while I was doing the video. Didn't quite work. Anyway, now that I have properly confused you even more, let's move on to the next thing that I did put a little bit of love, well, okay, a lot of love since the last time we talked. The next thing that I worked on was what I called the Blustery Day. This was the Windswept Cardigan by Tin Can Knits. This was the sweater I did for Nanny Swimo. I never finished. I decided, okay, I've gone to the body of the garment itself. I'm going to do the sleeves. Maybe it's some later date. I had other things I needed to work on, so I stopped. This was the West Yorkshire Spinners Illustrious, which is a 30% wool, 30% alpaca, so it was a little tough on my hands as it was. So I wanted to make sure when I knit the thing, it was as long as I needed for my body type. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get some try-it-on tubing so that I can put that around the, or what do you call it? I'm going to, like, when I pick up this for the sleeves, I'm going to go ahead and put that on, like, waist yarn or something a little bit. Okay, when I pick it up from the sleeves, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to try it on quick, see if it's long enough. I have a weird torso when it comes to how comfortable I am having things too tight or too loose. This cardigan, or sorry, this pullover, I may end up just ripping out yet. I don't know yet. I'm hoping I don't have to because I really, really, really want the FO. So, all right. Anyway, I am using a size US4, which is a 4.0 Knitter's Pride Smart Stick. My 32-inch cables, or they were until I finished the body. I did bind off on it in the middle of November, but I haven't gotten up the gumption to begin it again. Anyway, the next thing that I did work on a fair bit since the last time we talked was what I called Rough to Neverland. Sorry, I can't sing today. But anyway, this is We're Off to Neverland, silver style is what I called the project. This pattern was Georgia on My Mind by Leslie Thomas. I did use Sweet Georgia Yarn's Tough Love Sock in the Neverland colorway. Oh, absolutely love it. I'm using a size US 1, which is a 2.25 millimeter on line circulars. Let's see. Oh, and the very last thing that I did work on since the last time we talked is what I called My Flat White Wrap is Magical. This is the Flat White Wrap by CC Almond. Again, I am using the Sweet Georgia Yarns Tough Love Sock in the Magician colorway. I have 3 different skeins I hope to use in it. I'm about halfway done, I think. I don't remember how many pattern rotations I have, guys. I'm sorry. Anyway, I am using a size US 3, which is a 3.25 millimeter on my Hiya Sharps 40-inch cable. Oh, I absolutely love these needles, you guys, but they do tend to kink up a lot, so I can work on it for maybe an hour or so before I get frustrated with the cable and just put it down. So it's gonna take a bit. Whoops. Let's move on to Silver's unraveling fast, because quite frankly, yes, I am. Since the last time we talked, I decided I wanted to rip out a couple of projects, or put them in the frog pond. The first one I did rip or frog was what I called Skirting the Tree. Basically, I had not touched this project in over a year. Never mind actually work on it in a year, so I just decided to go ahead and rip it out. I honestly do not need a tree skirt. Don't know what I was thinking when I started it. No idea. The second thing that I decided to frog this time, since the last time we talked, was what I called Stripes Abound. This was a blanket that I was crocheting granny stripes on. I honestly, since I was making a couple other blankets for myself, I decided I did not need another one. So I ripped it out. The last thing that I think as of 4 days ago, I decided I was going to go ahead and rip out was what I called Northern Skies blanket. I decided I was not happy with how it was going and how long it was taking me. It's a blanket, basically a modular blanket that you can do in strips, and I just wanted to bring this blanket in another direction. I decided, like I said before, to make it into granny squares and then just put them together later. Let's move on to Back to the Future. Now, I know I say I'm going to try to concentrate on finishing what I already have on the needles. I've said this how long, but I do have to mention that I have a few projects that I know will need to jump on the needles in the next little bit, so I'm going to mention them now. The first thing I'm going to mention is that I have socks for a few recipients that are going to have to jump on the needles at some point this year. I might be able to push them until the summer, but we shall see. I want to do another upstairs downstairs cowl again for a recipient. They know it's coming, but I won't mention who. Let's see. I've also been debating doing another owl. I was going to do it for the winter term, but I find right now that I want to follow my joy and I want to do what I want to do. And quite frankly, yeah, this is double knitting. I have not wanted to do a double knitting project since I first tried it 2 years ago. But I know the pattern I really want to use for a scarf pattern, and MDI has actually been asking me for a new scarf for a while, as in the one I made him for our wedding ceremony that he's been wearing constantly since then, 10 years ago or so. He's worn it out. So yeah, I think that's probably part of the reason why I wanted to propose it for an owl. Probably for ancient runes, I think. I'm thinking and hoping that I will have the gumption to go ahead and do that in the spring. So wish me luck, y'all. X's and O's. Okay. Yes, I've been busy with a lot of other things this past couple months, and hence why you haven't seen me. I've tried to put up a lot of posts on my personal blog, a lot of the 2019 FO posts. I hope to have it live before this episode goes live. I haven't yet. I'm, like I said, so much going on in the background, you guys. Obviously, I don't know if you can tell, but I have a lot of thoughts running through my head, so I'll get to it when I get to it. And I'll also make sure to put up the 2020 FO posts beginning tag right when I put up the 2019. I am pretty close to being caught up. I have maybe like 3 or 4 left over from 2019, and then 3 for 2020, obviously, to put up. So I should probably do that sometime today or tomorrow before I put this episode up. Okay, I'm rambling. Anyway, at that time, I should also have a reading post up for both 2019 and 2020, but again, I'm not too sure I want to continue with 2020, putting it up like that. But seeing as most of the time when I put posts up, that is having to do with my FOs or my readings, so I don't know, that my personal blog is kind of a mess. Anyway, the next thing, other crafting related that I have done is I have put up a whole bunch of videos since the last time we talked. I did put a video up with a lot of Mario shenanigans, aka the Bubbles video, and some videos where he's playing with his holiday toys from both his mommy and daddy and his grandparents and aunt and uncle. But anyway, I put up some holiday videos as well, and I am going to be putting up, hopefully by the end of today, or hopefully by Wednesday, everything should be up. But for the Great Podcaster Craft Together, all of these I have recorded today. It's just going to take a while to edit and get them up. For the Q4 video, I'm going to do a whole wrap-up video on all of the prize winners and who entered projects and everything like that. So the whole year. I already know that with the pictures by themselves, it's going to be over an hour and a half. So please have patience with me as it takes a while to go up. And the last video that I'm putting up, hopefully soon, is the prize winners video. So yes, I already know who won the grand prize for 2019. And no, I will not tell here. So be sure to check out that prize winners video sometime today or tomorrow. And the third thing that I have been working on since the last time we talked was kind of a big project for me. MDI and I have actually decided to close out our channel, Music for Two, and our podcast. So I've been moving all of the show notes over to the Dreamland podcast page, as well as adding the Music for Two videos to my own channel. It took a good week, I think, to make sure we put everything up and change it. I had to make sure to put adult ratings on all of those videos because MPI and I together feed into the whole like swearing at each other thing, because that's just kind of who we are. We banter back and forth. So I did put a tag on those for the young ones, but if you'd like to check those out, you can. I understand if you don't, but they're there. They have their own playlist as well, as will the Craft Together. The Craft Together will also have its own playlist as well, so you can check those out individually and separate from the main podcast if you would like as well. I have been pretty much an organizing fiend when it comes to everything on YouTube, just so that way. Sorry about that. I moved my hands and I cracked my knuckles. Sorry about that. Where was I? Oh yeah, I've been trying to keep everything organized because obviously having to move said channel and podcast notes over, I had to make sure everything was pretty organized. I think I have driven MTI completely crazy with that, but okay, it's done and over now. That's one thing off my list, right? Anyway, let's move on to Radio GaGa. I have been listening to Dream Theater Scenes from a Memory, as well as their Systematic Chaos album. I've also been listening to Trans-Siberian Orchestra, both the Lost Christmas Eve and the Christmas Eve and Other Stories list, as well as a few others. But most of those, but Trans-Siberian Orchestra is what I listen to when it comes to Christmas music, because I only do that while I am, well, quite frankly, when I am decorating and wrapping presents. I'm a little bit of a Scrooge. There's not much that I do when it comes time for the holidays. Yule around here is pretty low key. I give one present to MTI, and MTI usually just pretty much just helps me pay for things around here at this point in our relationship, but that's a whole other story. And I'm digressing so hard. You can tell the coffee has kicked in. Anyway, in terms of podcasts that I listen to, I found a new podcast called Martinis and Murder. Absolutely love it. They are new to me, and I did catch up. It took, like almost 4 weeks to catch up to the episodes that they had as of last week's episode. Let's see, I caught up with Scam Goddess, Wine and Crime, To Crime Daily, The Fall Line, The Murder Squad, My Favorite Murder Associates Anonymous, and That's Why We Drink. Oh my gosh, you guys, I have been listening to as much as I possibly can to catch up. Sorry, I was over a month behind after listening to Martinis and Murder pretty much on constant, so, but that's how I do. I like binge listening to things and binge watching things too. Anyway, so besides listening to a lot of podcasts, let's move on to Silver's book pile, because I have finished a whole heck of a lot of books. I have been trying to reread a lot of the books that I actually physically own as physical books or as digital downloads. Yeah, I love reading. So the books that I finished include Where Cat the Rearing by Andrew J. Peters. You have the Doctor's Secret Bride by Anna E. Ross, It's in His Kiss by Cadley Quinn, Legal Action by Kimball Lee, The Secret Billionaire by Chloe Cassidy, Seduced by Innocence by Carl Kincaid, Naked Party with DJ by Darius Sparks, Succubus in a Red Dress by Daniel David Garcia. You have Honeymoon for One by Chris Keniston. I can't pronounce it. Anyway, The Substitute by Denise Grover Swank. You also have Sing Your Heart Out by Kimball Caswell, Silver Storm by Cynthia Wright. You also have Seducing the Bride by Michelle McMaster. You have My Mr. Sexy by Stacey Cartwright, Silver Bells by C.J. Hunt, The Wedding Dress Diaries by Amy Carson, One Night Stand by J.S. Cooper. You have Undercover Princess by Lenora Worth, Sisters in Love by Melissa Foster. You have The Perfect Match by Pat White, The Lottery Winners by Elizabeth Lennox. You have The Billionaire's Virgin by Pappy Adams, Marrying His Best Friend by Jennifer Grayson. You have Masquerade by Victoria Vale, Desired by Two Alphas by Maya Gray, How to Lose a Groom in 10 Days by Catherine Mann and Joanne Rock. You have Billionaire's Heart by Nancy Adams. Let's see. Also, Big Bag Neighbor by Tia Siren. Christmas Wishes by Debbie McComber. Pleasure Extraordinaire by Liv Bennett. A Christmas Gift by Stella Wilkinson. You have Winter's Heat by Olivia Blake. The Chic Seduces by Katie Carpenter. You also have The Millionaire's First Christmas by Holly Rayner. Stolen Innocence by Melanie Ann. You also have Most Valuable Playboy by Laura Blakely. You have A is for Alibi by Sue Grafton. The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I think that's how you pronounce that. I'm sorry. I can never pronounce that name. Her Secret Millionaire by Kat Shield. You have Where Are the Children by Mary Higgins Clark. You have Lifting Shadows, Dream Theater, the authorized biography by Rich Wilson. You also have Love and Rumors by Jean Oram. Lover by Chance by Deborah Glass. You have I Married a Billionaire by Melanie Marquette. You also have Tapping the Billionaire by Max Monroe. Okay, so 45 books in about 2 months isn't bad at all. A few of those are ones that were on the Modern Miss Darcy challenge that I was literally up until the wire trying to finish. Mainly the Lifting Shadows book, the Dream Theater autobiography. Honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, that last one I mentioned, it was a complete slog. I do not like biographies, especially written by that asshat. Okay, because a lot of what he was saying, I tried to tell MTI this as I was reading it, but he seemed like he was siding with people he shouldn't have been siding with. But as Dream Theater did get a chance to read it before it went to print, I think I'm okay now that I realize that fact. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, now that I'm done trash talking, yeah, see, I edited myself. But anyway, but now that I'm done trash talking that guy, I'm gonna move on to what I'm currently reading. There's not much. Echo and the Bone by Diana Gabaldon. I'm just picking that back up now after all of the past couple months of whatever reading. And I'm see the Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I'm reading a chapter a week with the Harry Potter and the Sacred Text. I'm currently on chapter 22. On the 9th, this Thursday, they're going to go ahead and have chapter 22. So I'm kind of excited to get back at it. They took, 2 weeks off for the holidays? I can't wait to see those two back. Can you tell I like their podcast? Anyway. Silver and the Case of the Screen Time. I have been watching a lot of stuff, you guys. Starting with 911, Prodigal Son, let's see, Supernatural, Nancy Drew, and DNA of a Murder. They all had their season finales. Let's see. Oh, I've been watching The Masked Singer since the last time we talked. Season 2, I completely watched with MTI. It's the one show we watched together. And speaking of Masked Singer, remember everyone, season 3 is starting up after the Super Bowl this year, so yay! We're excited about that, can you tell? Since the last time we talked, I found Manifest. Didn't realize that they were coming back for a second season, so yay! Let's see, I've been catching up with the Holzer Files and Ghost Nation. I also binged the first season of Discovery Witches in one afternoon, because why not? I've been watching a show called Homicide for the Holidays. They had their season finale, I think, this past week. It's hard to tell because the seasons on Oxygen tend to go anywhere from 4 episodes up to 12, so it's hard to tell. We shall see. Anyway, speaking of random season lengths, I have been watching also a lot of Doctor Who since the last time we talked. I have gotten to the midway point of Peter Capaldi's 3rd season with Bill. I was trying my best to get a whole complete rewatch again before the new season start. Obviously, that did not happen. But speaking of which, I have watched the first 2 episodes of this current season. As a quick warning and spoiler, if you have not watched the episodes yet, please skip ahead. I will put the timestamp below. You ready? Okay. All right. The episodes were titled Skyfall, Part 1 and Part 2. Oh my god, the Master in the first episode back? Okay. I was almost ready to write Chris Chibnall off for being a whiny little prat about the whole season thing. If you don't know that, just Google it, whatever. Basically, this season so far is so good. Last night's episode, I was like, oh, she's gotta beat the Master some weird and random way, and it's oh, mind was completely blown. I don't want to give too much away, mostly because it takes me at least 2 watches to kind of understand everything. As evidenced by last week, not last night, but last week, the 1st, when the episode came out, I had no idea that they literally meant that the guy that they're talking to and who betrayed everyone was the Master. Not just not just a spy master, but spy space, long space master. He was trying to tell her, hey, I am the Master. I guess what I'm a little confused about, I guess, going into the second episode is, what the heck is he talking about? The child? Is it time child? Or timeless child? I might have forgotten that if they already described that and explained that, but the master taking out all of Gallifrey, I'm like, what? Like, what? I'm sitting there, I cannot believe it. I'm like, okay, you petulant little child, what could be so bad that they told you? They could have been putting you off, because, they're not necessarily the greatest of people, like Gallifreyans, but anyway, but yeah, like, and the doctor goes all quiet and, like, brooding again, and it's, like, not like Jodie's character. It's, like, not the character she's normally playing, but to have, like, her companions being, like, coming up to her after she had found this out about Gallifrey being completely destroyed, and having them be like, okay, give us answers now, and, like, the most intuitive of them, yes, was, like, the only question she had after that one little bit of information that the doctor gave her was, okay, can we go visit? That look, oh my god, that look that Jodie gave, I was just like, it wasn't like a death glare, it was like I don't want to tell them that they're gone. Like, I don't want to, admit to, like, all the information that I know, because it's so sad, it would depress them. Like, I want them to be happy. It's like, oh my god. Okay, I'm getting completely distracted. I'm gonna take a quick drink and then I'll move on to what I've been watching movie-wise. And come on back if you haven't already. Guess it's the last of the water in my water jug. Oh well. Let's move on to movies. I watched a few Hallmark movies. I honestly can't remember. I think there's a total of, like, 3 of them, I think, before I finally gave in and stopped watching them. I had a realization that a lot of Hallmark movies are not inclusive. So, sorry. Let's see. The next movie I watched was called The Imitation Game, which was pretty cool. I like that one. Pitch Perfect, because as you do, I needed something brainless. And the one movie that I watched holiday related, unfortunately, was Elf this year. I don't know why. I think I just forgot with all the listening and everything that I did. Anyway, the other thing that I did watch is not really a movie or a TV show per se. So I put it in the other category. It's the disappearance of the Millbrook twins. It's an important story out of Atlanta that happened years and years ago with 2 twins disappearing, and it seems like, okay, I'm gonna smash talk a little bit. It doesn't seem like the police wanted to do anything about it, even when the documentary people had given them a whole list of information that they could possibly follow. It may just be that the producer of the show kind of pissed him off, to be honest. There was some words that were said on camera from the producer that seemed like might have stopped the sheriff from wanting to participate anymore. So it's hard to say if, like, that was the reason why. Maybe there was a contact person that maybe made the cops not want to participate, but who knows? I'm not going to speculate anymore. But I have watched a lot more podcasts since the last time we talked to you. I did watch Adorn Knit. I also watched Dramatic Knits, The Knit Girls, Mad Fuzzy, Knit and Kitten. I also watched Knit Sense, Criminally Creative, Stockinette Zombies, the Geeky Girls Knit podcast. I watched the main episodes that happened, as well as CC's Vlogmas episodes. I loved it. I was hooked. Obviously, I was very hooked on Vlogmas episodes because Stitching the High Notes also did Vlogmas, as well as Unseen Strands, and I watched every single episode until the last episode that Unseen Strands did. She just released that this morning, or I just saw it this morning, one of those. Anyway, but also Stitching the High Notes and Unseen Strands both had main episodes that I was watching as well. All right, let's move on to The More You Know. All right, doing a Cal breakdown. The great podcaster Craft Together. This is a CAL that I'm hosting again in 2020. The Craft Together does start on January 1st and will end on December 31st. If you are a podcaster and would like to go ahead and host an FO thread on your Ravelry board as well, that's fine. Chatter threads are even better. Giving prizes is also up to your personal preference. If you are officially participating in the along, please go ahead and PM me directly on Ravelry and Silverluna2112. I will add you to the list of podcasts participating, which does include your podcast banner being included on the page as well. And I will add you to the list of moderators, so you can go ahead and change things or edit things, or if you see something inappropriate that I don't please, you can help moderate. If you do listen to any podcast at all and don't actually host one yourself, please go ahead and feel free to join in the along and spread the word. We do have a new hashtag this year, which is hashtag TGPAL, which is the great podcaster along 2020 on Instagram and everywhere. I'll put it down in the as a card as well, so you can see it. Or sorry, not as a card, as a banner, so you can see it down below. As to the rules, they're kind of simple, I think. You must be a member of the Cal Ravelry group. If you're not on Ravelry anymore, please just use the hashtag on Instagram. I do pull from that list from time to time as well. I'll make sure to grab all those FO pictures that you put up through that feed and put it onto the Ravelry board so you can get credit as well. See what's new for 2020. I don't have a minimum yardage goal this time, especially if you're going to go ahead and do cross stitch and all that other stuff as well. You don't have much of a yardage goal, so I didn't think that was fair. And I wanted to change that. Just so you know, individual socks do count unless you do finish the pair. One pair will count only once throughout the course of the CAL. Sorry about that. Basically, any project that you finish in 2020 will count. Non-Ravelry projects do count. I just ask that you post before and after photos, especially if it's something like a whip or something. Non-Ravelry crafts do include needlepoint scrapbooking. There's also cooking, latch hooking, card making, things like that, and weaving and all that. So you know, poly dipping is allowed and even encouraged. If you do wish to share other alongs that you've entered that FO into, that would be awesome. And this way, we can go ahead and participate in those same alongs with you, depending on the rules of the other alongs. Now, in the case of scrappy blankets, I do say that 1 stripe or 3 squares count as an FO in this context, because quite frankly, like myself, who isn't working on some version of a scrappy blanket for 2 or 3 or however many. Anyway, in terms of prizes, we do have a few. So please go ahead and PM me on Ravelry, or you can direct message me on Instagram if you'd like to add something to the prize pool. I'm still collecting prizes as I got a little bit of a late start due to some personal issues throughout the course of the year that I'm not going to get into. Anyway, what I have collected so far, I'm going to be giving away 12 individual $10 under patterns on Ravelry. I'm going to be giving away 4 total copies of my Proud to Be Me pattern, so 1 per quarter. There's also going to be a free pattern from Java Pearl Designs that will be given away per month. And new this year, I'm going to include them in the prize pool at the very beginning. So for every 50 FOs, I will be highlighting designers from Ravelry, and we'll be giving away one of their giftable patterns. If you do have any, if you know of any unknown or lesser known designers who deserve our love, quite frankly, just please let me know in a PM on Ravelry. I'd love to add them to that list. I really would. Let's see. Besides the Harry Potter house cup, there's another along that I am participating in. It is called the Sisters of the Wool KAL, knit along. My sister in Wool, Mercury Zelda, and I got together this past July of 2019 when she and her husband were stateside, as they both live in England and, well, her family is here in the States. We basically decided we wanted to choose a few patterns to knit along together and selected several colorways we wanted to knit them in. As this is pretty much an official/unofficial KAL, it will basically keep going until both Mercury Zelda and I are done with all the patterns listed on the in my Silver Streamland podcast group. If anyone wants to knit along with us, please go ahead and use the hashtag Sisters of the Wool Cow on all social media and in your projects. Please go ahead and feel free to post any in-progress photos as well. I'd love to have you. A quick caveat, if the patterns don't appeal to you that are on that list, you can still go ahead and knit along or even crochet along with us. Just please let me know. The idea of the along is to pick a pattern and knit or crochet it along with your own wonderful woolly sister, brother, or significant other. I would definitely be willing to add more patterns to that list. In fact, I would recommend that. Anyway, another note, I do use the quote Sisters of the Wool phrase as a nod to an episode title I used when Mercury Zelda was on the show with me at one point. I don't remember the episode name or the number. But anyway, I do not intend to imply gendering in this cal. After all, gender is basically a social construct. Honestly, I'm a proud non-binary myself. Silver will eventually be my legal name. I'm working that. Don't worry about it. Anyway, I'm going to move on to my favorite things before I go ahead on another tangent. So for my favorite things, the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is Thanksgiving, because it's been that long since we've seen each other. Yes, I know. Thanksgiving was pretty low-key and quiet. I had my family hanging around, mom, dad, sister's wife, or almost husband, and my brother. We all kind of just got together, had pie, hung out, played games. It was pretty fun. I have a few photos I'm going to go ahead and add here, or no, I'm going to put it at the end of the episode just because this is running long. Anyway, we also do a thing on Black Friday that we call Pie Day, where we all get together, have a meal, and we also, well, quite frankly, we have pies, which is cool, hence the Pie Day. It was just a way to get together again. My mom wanted it. So my brother ended up hosting it this year, which is pretty cool. He and his significant other, they hosted it. It was pretty cool. We had fun. I made a lot of squares during that dinner, actually, let's be honest. Let's see. Oh yeah, the next thing I'm going to mention is the first snow of the season. We've had a couple of storms since then, but not many. One that really stuck enough that MTI stayed home from work to work from home, but it's been pretty low-key, pretty quiet. Couple of sleet storms, But anyway, I mentioned the first snow of the season just because it tends to be beautiful in our neck of the woods. We live right by a cul-de-sac, so we see like everything that happens in the cul-de-sac. It's cool. Let's see. Oh, and yeah, since we talked, I did for the first time, I think in 3 years, I did some seasonal decorations. The reason that it's been a couple of years is the last time we tried, Mario decided he wanted to try to eat the tree, which is a fiber optic tree. And we've also been grouches ever since. We hadn't want to really celebrate the holiday except with our parents later in the month. But we decided to get out of our grouchy phase and just kind of decorate a little bit. But let's be honest, it was mostly me saying we need to do something different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording here, and I'm actually going to put in the separate clip that I made with all the decorations we put up, because quite frankly, I have a collection. I like snowmen, so they stay up pretty much until midway through January, probably February. The tree might come down in a week. Yeah, it's still up, y'all. Anyway, here is the video, and I will see you on the flip side. There's the tree, you guys. Oh my god. We have a fiber optic tree, so. Okay. All done. Yes, 3 boxes full of stuff that I needed to wrap this year. Woohoo! I think I only did it in about, okay, I want to say about 4 hours, but I don't really think that's true. Anyway, have a good holiday, everyone. Has been sitting here the whole time just staring at that one squirrel. It's kind of cute. Okay, now I should go back to what I was doing, but oh my goodness, this is so cute. Apparently squirrels like playing in the snow. Look at him. He's just sitting there. I don't know if you can see it, but all those tracks are the whole family of squirrels that have been playing out in the snow for the past like hour or so that I've been watching them. Hey, look at him. He's so cute. See, look. And then another one went that way. One just keeps running up and down the tree. I'm thinking they think that they're collecting something. Look, they're actually eating something in the snow. It's cute.
I believe somebody put some sewing needles inside of little fun-sized Snicker bars, which is horrifying. And there was a couple of other instances like this, so it actually threw the average and actually made it. Which is one
So
of
it's
those
good
things,
to
too,
know
you
Mario
all
will
this
play with the
stuff,
toys if you put the toys on top of his scratch pad. Oop, found the catnip mouse.
Like that one little trigger this year, and it'll be out there forever.
Hey, what you doing?
Things happened last year, and they have one.
Hi, honey. You like the label I put on the box?
I do. It says to Pooh Bear from Silver.
Mario's like, what's in the box?
That was easy. Okay.
Not my usual wrapping job, I know.
Yeah.
The smaller one goes first, if you don't mind.
Alright, so we got a bunch of things here. We have what looks like an empty sheet of wrapping paper. Oh, let me step in.
And yes, y'all, I did wrap a note to him.
Nice. So nice.
I thought you would like that.
I do like that. It's very sweet.
We haven't done that in a while.
Alright, so does it matter which of these next to
Nope.
open up? Okay, I got a pair of socks.
Yep.
Let's see. Could this be another pair of socks?
I don't know.
I don't know. Okay.
Make sure you give him the wrapping paper, though. At least some of it. At least some of it, yeah.
Okay.
He'll play with it for about 5 seconds.
It's another pair of socks.
Yeah. What do you think of the patterning on it, though? You didn't even notice, did you?
Oh, that's cool. It is a very different pattern. I don't know specifics of it.
A little bit of a cable.
Okay.
Those are the socks I did for Desert Vista, like the first month this year.
Okay.
I've been hanging on to them for a while.
And then we have a blanket, which I'm almost afraid to unwrap because
Go for it.
I don't know how it goes back. But
You fold it up like you would normally any blanket. It's not that hard.
but
You can lay it over the box if you want to get a better.
I can lay it over me too.
That too.
There we go.
Alright,
All sorts
welcome
of
back, you guys.
Exactly.
I do have a few.
So now you don't
more
have to steal
things
my blanket
discuss,
tonight.
Especially in terms of my favorite things. Well, holidays
Thank you, baby.
are usually very
Thank you.
complicated in my
Love you.
house.
Love you.
We went to my aunt's
Happy
house.
holidays, everyone.
We also went
From
to
MTI,
my
Silver,
parents on
and
Christmas
Mario
Eve.
the Cat.
Christmas Day was
See you guys in the
for,
new year.
MTI's side of the family. And then we have a separate holiday party that happens usually around the first of the year, usually the last of the year, depending on when we can have it. Is to MTI's family is so large, we need to have a large hall to gather in. So it's usually a little while after the holidays to get everyone together. It's great. We have so much fun, though. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of those. I'm going to go ahead and add as many photos as I possibly can. I will put them at the very end of the show, so that way you can skip it if you want. Especially since I put the video before this. Let's see. Oh, another thing that I have been pretty much constantly playing and working on is Cookie Clicker, you guys. I think I have ascended about 10 times since the last time we talked. Yeah, I'm a little obsessed. Oh yeah, and I've got a bunch of stuff to talk to you about in terms of stuff that came to the house. Before I talk about holiday gift stuff that came in, because yes, I did ask for a bunch of crafty stuff for the holidays. That's neither here nor there. But what came before that was the 9-month prizes that I got for doing 9 months of Desert Vista. A bunch of minis. I love these minis, and there's a few other things in there as well. And since Susan has gone ahead and put a post up already with that, I'm not really spoiling it, so I'm not going to worry about a spoiler alert. Had I done it in December when I got them, I might have. Anyway. Yeah. But these are cute. What do you think? Let's see. Oh, and I did win something from the Knit Girls, the Craft All the Things cow they had. Oh, geez. For October. Wow, it's been a bit. I did get two skeins of Miss Bab's Yowza minis in both the Mayhem colorway and the Biker Chick colorway. I think I know what I'm going to do with it already. Not too sure. I'll let you know once the project comes up with it, right? Oh yeah, and since the last time we talked, I did tell you the I Can Hear the Bells blanket, but I didn't tell you I actually got this in the mail about midway through November. No, the end of November, probably after Thanksgiving, and got this from Amazon. It came real quick. But yeah, it was the Karen 1 pound, two skeins of off-white, 3 of yellow, and 3 of black. I think I'm going to use all of it, to be honest. I'm going to be down the wire on a few of them, but that's neither here nor there. I know, random worries of in my head, right? Okay, so I did get some yarn from my mother and father for the holidays. She wanted a cowl that I have been, that she's had her eye on for a while for me to make. She bought Miss Babs Yowza in the Winter Fairy colorway. Love that colorway. She also got 2 skeins of Knit Picks Muse Fingering in the Elation colorway and 2 in the Hawthorne Fingering Multi from Knit Picks in the Newport colorway. Both of those colorways are intended to be socks for her and her hubs. Anyway, got a lot of PJs and clothes, which is cool. I also got an unofficial Harry Potter cookbook for my brother. It's amazing, you guys. I can't wait to even try some of the recipes in there. I did get a lot of candles and different scents and things, which is pretty cool. I got a lot of candy and cookies from family. I have to tell you, they're all gone. So they were good. The other thing I did get from my brother was a game called Villainous. Basically what this is, it's a game where you play up to 6 players, and they're all 6 Disney villains, and you try to win their stories, essentially. It's kind of a card game. We haven't played it yet. We want to. It takes anywhere from like 2 hours to like 6, I think. Or 45 minutes to 2. I don't even know the amount of time it'll take, to be honest. But I have looked at everything, and it's great. It's absolutely amazing. I'm gonna have to find a way to keep it organized in the box. But yeah, I'll have to show you a picture of all the player pieces for this game. It's pretty amazing. All right, before I rant and rave anymore, let's go on to the end of the road. Yes, I am pretty social. You can find me on our Ravelry board, which is Silver's Dreamland Podcast. I am Silverluna 2112 there on Ravelry. On Facebook, Silver's Dreamland can be found directly under the Silver's Dreamland as a group. I set up a group for it. On Instagram, I am Silver's Treats. On Twitter, I am at Silver's Knitting. I do tend to read through all messages as soon as I possibly can. If you don't hear from me within 24 hours, please go ahead and feel free to email me directly at silversdreamland@gmail.com. As always, everything that I do talk about can be found in the show notes at www.silversdreamlandpodcast.com. If you haven't done so already, please feel free to subscribe and hit the bell down below. This way, others can find me in my little corner of YouTube. And you can see when I post videos. Okay. I have rambled for long enough. I know your time is valuable, so please feel free to go ahead and join in any discussion or start your own on the Silver's Dreamland Ravelry board. I don't bite, I promise. If you are feeling generous, please hit the like button below so that others can find my show as well. And subscribe if you haven't. And please stay tuned for episode 83 on the 3rd of February. Until next time, happy crafting!